Good evening, everybody. I'm Christopher. I'm the chairman of the Audit and Internal Controls Committee of the National Interim Finance Authority. I'm calling to order a meeting of that committee. It is September 24th, 2024, and it is 6:40 p.m. Thank you all for being here. We have a fairly limited agenda. I will observe that members Meiji, Kessel, and Petraka are present. So are the members of the board, Zazo and Lanceman, and so as a result, because the other board members are here at the committee meeting, they're certainly welcome to participate in the committee, and then when we get to the general meeting, we're not going to repeat ourselves and have the meeting a second time because they'll have heard the proceedings in the course of the committee. So the meeting is called to order. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of our May 23rd meeting. Would a member please move to
So
approve?
moved.
It's been made.
Second.
It's been seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. The minutes are approved. The second item, and I think, Carl, you're probably going to walk us through this as you did in other times, to approve the submission of NYFA's own, not the county's, but NYFA's own 2025 budget and our four-year financial plan for 25 through 28 to the Office of the State.
Thank you and good evening. NYFA approves a financial plan at about this time each year, as it must be included in Nassau County's multi-year financial plan. NYFA's financial plan must also be filed in New York State's Public Authorities Reporting System at the earliest possible date before the fiscal year commences on January 1st. The proposed financial plan for 25 through 2028 that I'm submitting for your approval is substantially consistent with the financial plan that was adopted by the board last year. Totals for NYFA's core operating expenses in 2025, 2026, and 2027, respectively, are the same as what was approved by you last year. These amounts reflect current staffing levels, future pension contribution rates announced by the state comptroller, and projected increases in health insurance premiums in accordance with estimates provided by the State Department of Civil Service. The category of statutorial mandated expenses of $550,000 for 2026 and 2028 provide for the mandated biennial operational audits of 3 Nassau County public benefit corporations, and then $50,000 for 25 and 2027 when no operational audits are required. I want to emphasize that NYFA remits to the county all unspent core and statutorily mandated appropriations. All other components of the proposed financial plan remain largely unchanged from the financial plan under which we are currently operating. The assumptions that we use to develop our financial plan are in your materials immediately following the documents that I'm currently presenting. Can I answer any questions regarding the proposed budget financial plan?
I think we've all been heard. Chairman Kessel is welcome to ask a second question. We've all been heard, I think, on the topic of the statutorily mandated expenses when we've approved.
I was just curious, Chris, what do you have a cost estimate for those 3 audits that?
We provide for $500,000 for the 3 of them.
For the 3 of them?
Correct.
So it's $500,000 for those audits?
For each of them, yeah.
For each of them?
No, I'm sorry, for each period.
The sum of.
It's just that they're done biennially, so we budget every other year for them.
Correct.
So that's why it goes up and down. We've got $50,000 for next year.
You know, having, just to point out, having been on the other side of the audit process when I was at the IDA, I think that one of the things, and we kind of talked about it a little bit, Evan, at the end of the session, that we ought to talk to the governor's offices trying to get that statute repealed, because number one, it's a waste of maybe I'm speaking because I was subject to one of them when I was at the IDA, but it's a complete waste of money we don't have the internal expertise to do those audits, so we have to go out and hire outside firms to do it, and it's a complete waste of money. I know the history of those audits, and you know, I'm not going to go into it other than I think it was the statute was enacted at the end of a session to punish certain people. Actors have changed, and I think that it's just a waste of taxpayers' money. So I'm going to, in January, work with the governor's office to see if we can get that statute. We're going to have to do this year because it's too late. But
they're already underway.
Right, they're already underway. And by the way, I've recused myself from the IDA audit, since I was there at the time it's being covered. But I just think that those audits are unnecessary, a waste of taxpayers' money, and hopefully we can get the statute appealed, and this will be the last round of audits that we do.
For the record, I didn't recuse myself from the OTB audit because I stopped being the chairman 19 years ago. I thought that was enough of a time
Right.
lapse. But I will observe that all of these entities that we are required by statute to audit are otherwise subject to audit
Right.
every year
By
by
the state
an external financial audit.
county control, right?
Yeah, so.
It
and
does-
this
it does appear to be a bit
This is
redundant.
separate from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any other questions on the proposal itself for the budget? If not, would somebody like to move that we approve its inclusion and filing with the state?
I'll move, yep, second.
Made and seconded, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, that motion passes as well. And then the final item is to retain our new external auditors, and Carl, I think you're going to walk us through that, the
Sure.
process we observed, and then the outcome and what you're recommending we do.
Right. The New York State Public Authorities Law requires NYPA to be subject to an annual financial audit performed by an independent public accounting firm. The audit report is required to be sent to various Nassau County and state officials. NYPA's contract with our former auditors, RSM, expired at the end of our 2023 audit engagement. A committee of John, Connell, and I prepared a request for proposal and posted it on the websites of NYPA, the New York Government Financial Officers Association, and the New York State Contract Reporter. Additionally, I created an outreach campaign with the New York State's NWBE network and conducted independent research for public accounting firms on the NWBE and SDVOB networks, which yielded a total of 71 firms. I visited each of the identified firms' website looking for audit experience of New York State public benefit corporations and submitted our RFP to 7 firms who indicated that they had this experience. I also submitted our RFP to another 11 firms that I was familiar with, which included RSM. We received a total of 5 proposals. After independently evaluating each proposal based on a uniform selection scoring system, we interviewed 2 firms with the highest scores and agreed that the EFPR group is best suited for our auditing requirements. Can I answer any questions?
So I see the fees here in the proposal. How does that compare to 23?
As far as the auditing fee is
Yeah.
concerned, it's roughly 60% of what our fee was for the last engagement.
So it's 40% lower.
It's 40% lower. Yeah, it was, we paid $50,000 for the 23 engagement. They're proposing $29,900.
And they'll be present. It seems like this is a firm that will be addressing us in person and close out meetings at least.
Not anymore.
We might want to, maybe not, right? Maybe they'll have to pay for transportation.
It's a
but it
public
seems like
hearing.
They'll also, they've committed to in-person.
They won't do it
They've committed to
remote
some
like the last
in-person
time.
meetings, right? I
Right.
think.
But notwithstanding, whether they are or not,
Yeah.
a $20,000 saving is.
That was
Oh,
discussed.
yeah, no, good job.
That
During
was
the
one of
interview process, that was
conditions
discussed
Yeah.
with them.
Yeah, that was one of the conditions, that
That
when they
figures much.
propose the,
no.
when they present the findings and so forth, the required communication, that they do it in
It's
person.
just helpful for us to see looks on faces and understand body language
Agreed.
when things like that are being discussed. It's-
You can read the room.
What's the timeline, Carl?
The timeline will be, they'll start preliminary work, most likely end of December, beginning of January. All right, I'll close the books as soon as we receive the last sales tax payment, which would be mid-February, and we're looking to get a finished product that we can submit to the county by March 31st. So.
And just for clarity, on the second page of the materials we have, it just indicates that there will be what appears to me to be a reasonable charge in the event that we need to issue a consent to include their opinion in an offering circular. But the range provided seems, it's a few $1,000s.
What they'll also do is probably either November or December.
Right.
They'll present their audit plan
Also good.
for your approval.
Right, thank you.
And one last question, EFPR, I'm not familiar with the firm, but I assume you've checked their credentials and they have experience
Peer reports.
of doing these kinds of audits before.
They do. They have, for an example, they have the Empire Development Group Corporation as a client, where a former county employee is now the assistant controller there, and he gave them a very good reference. I spoke to a number of other firms that they offered as references, and everybody gave glowing recommendations.
I'll move to approve.
Motion's been made. Second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. That motion passes, and the auditors will be retained upon a vote of the full board. With that, there's a motion to adjourn this committee. Made.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
This committee meeting is adjourned. Mr. Chairman, your meeting.
Thank you, Chris, we appreciate it. Carl, thank you. I just want to indicate, well, let's go into the regular meeting, but I do, before we move to that, I just want to congratulate or commend staff for their work in selecting this audit. I know it was very thorough. I was kind of observing some of the meetings that they had in the office. I wasn't part of them, but they did a thorough job, and I think I appreciate it. I think all of the directors appreciate the work, and we're saving money. And when you look at the number, the amount of money that we're spending for that audit, and you compare it to the audits that we have to do with the three agencies, it's embarrassing, right? Numbers speak for themselves. Anyway, thank you. Good job. I call to order a meeting of the Board of Directors of the Nassau Interim Finance Authority. First of all, let's take a roll call of directors.
Lester Petracca.
Mo Mekshi?
Rory Lansman.
Richard Kessel.
Chris Wright.
John Zaza.
Okay, so we have a quorum. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from July 9th, 2024. We had a meeting on that date. First of all, do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion.
All right, John,
Second.
is there a second?
Yep.
Okay. Are there any suggestions, comments, opinions, or changes to the minutes?
Looks like I missed a fun meeting.
You weren't here?
No.
Okay. Okay, hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Chris, do you want to report on
Sure.
2 and 3?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and if you don't mind, maybe we can take 2 and 3 together, since the meeting just occurred where we approved this and all the other board members were present.
I'm fine.
At an earlier meeting just concluded, the Audit and Internal Controls Committee approved the submission of NIFA's 2025 budget and 2025 to 2028 operating four-year plan, as well as the retention of the FPR Group as our new independent financial auditors. And I would move both resolutions together, Mr. Chairman, and ask that the board consider them together, since, again, we can certainly ask questions, but we've just discussed it moments before this meeting began.
Okay.
So I'll move that.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, seconded by Lester Petracca. Are there any comments from any of the board members additionally on these 2 resolutions? Hearing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, those 2 things are adopted. Now let's go to the county contracts. Martha is going to come up. Can we take them all? Should we take them all individually or
Yes.
together?
I can do the first 2 one and the last one together, and then the 2 middle ones together.
Okay, sounds
They have the
good.
same scope.
So let's do the first group first.
So, okay, so all the contracts presented today are with the Department of Public Works. The vendor have been selected through an open competitive bidding process. The county expects to fund most of these contracts with capital proceeds. Approval of any of these contracts does not guarantee future borrowing authorization. Item 48124, high-tech air conditioning services. The contract with High-Tech Air Conditioning Services, Inc. will provide on-call services to the county for various HVAC construction projects and in response to emergency repairs at various county facilities and buildings. The term is 2 years from the notice to proceed with a 2-year renewal option. The contract is valued at $12 million. Funding includes all allowable extensions. Item 48024, Seaford Avenue Corporation. This is a building construction requirement contract for plumbing constructions. The vendor will provide on-call services to the county for plumbing construction projects and in response to emergency repairs at various county facilities and buildings. The contract's term is 2 years from the notice to proceed with a 2-year renewal option and is valued at $8 million. Funding includes all allowable extensions. The last item is 487-24, and this is with the United States Geological Survey, New York State Science Center. This is an agreement, and the purpose is to continue the county-wide hydrogeological data collection and monitoring program, and to expand USGS scope to include operation and maintenance of the county's groundwater monitoring network. Also is including a study related to the storm water basins. The agreement's term is from September 1, 2024 through August 31, 2029, and is valued at $6.5 million. The funding sources for this agreement are various. It includes the Sewer and Stormwater Resources Fund, the American Recovery Plan, and capital proceeds. Are there any questions on these items? Yes.
If I may.
Yes,
In
Chris.
the pre-bid materials, I think one of the bidders, or one of the contracts, the bidders indicated that they weren't bidding because they were concerned about how long it would take the contract to get paid. Was that?
Yes, that seems to be a concern in some of the low bid responses, yes.
Really? I mean, because again, every now and again, we're accused as of holding up contracts, and it takes us all of 2 days to do that. Is there some process there, and do we think that's just something we need to get back to the county on?
I
Because that
can't-
less bids sometimes means it costs more, right?
I can't quite speak for the whole thing because I'm really not part of the county, but my understanding is that the process of the contract from beginning to end takes long.
From whenever it started 2 years ago to now.
Exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
got it.
And then to add that, sometimes there is a little bit of delay in when the amount of paperwork that vendors have to submit for claims to be paid.
Got it.
But again, I can, this is what I read in this correspondence.
Fine. So there's no action we can take? It's not any process that we're part of?
No,
Okay.
no.
Sorry.
Are there any other questions on the part of the board? So we've got 3 contracts before us, 481-24, 480-24, and 487-24. Does anyone from the public wish to comment on this? All right, seeing no one, do I hear a motion to adopt those 3 contracts?
Yes. I
Second.
approve.
Lester seconds it. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. And now we've got 2 more contracts. Martha?
Yes, and these will go together because they have the same scope. And the board actually has approved previously 3 contracts on the May 23rd meeting and 2 contracts on the July, actually vice versa, 2 on the May and 3 in July meeting. The county awarded a contract to the top 8 firms and submitted proposals for on-call services for the highway bridges construction unit in the Department of Public Works. These contracts are each valued at $5 million, and the term is 3 years from the commencement date with up to 1 year, with up to 2 one-year renewal options. Again, funding includes all the allowable extensions. And the vendors are 469-24 Saving Engineers and 472-24 Lira.
Are there
Are there any questions?
questions on the part of the board?
These are the last 2, is it?
I believe there's one more.
One more, a total of 8,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
I'll move to approve.
Yeah, second.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Chris seconds. Any members of the public wish to comment? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the contracts
Thank you.
passed. Thank you, Martha. Good job, as always. Unexpected, but Evan, the county budget came out a week ago Monday. I just wanted, if you could just indicate to the board the process, public process for how we now review that budget and what the timeline is, just for the benefit of the board.
Sure. We received the county submission, and staff is currently undertaking our thorough, rigorous review of all of the assumptions and making our own independent projections. We will make a determination or opine on various aspects of the budget, pointing out any weaknesses and strengths where appropriate. That will be in the form of a written report, which we will distribute to the board in October, in advance of an anticipated meeting of the board in October, the date which has not been set yet. after the board, after we issue the report, which is then distributed to the county legislature and county controller, and of course the county executive, we hope that any determinations that we make are taken into account prior to the legislature adopting the budget and financial plan, which by charter must be done by October 30th. They could adopt sooner. I don't know if that's anticipated this year. So October 30th is when it's adopted. When the legislature adopts the budget and financial plan, they have an opportunity to include amendments that they vote on, assuming that there's an affirmative vote. The budget, the adopted budget includes the amendments. The county executive then has an opportunity, if he chooses, to veto any amendments that he doesn't like. It then gets returned back to the county legislature, and they have an opportunity, if there are any vetoes, to schedule a vote to override the vetoes, if they so choose. Then we have a final version of the budget and financial plan, which is considered by NIFA for approval, and that would be in November. There's a 17-day window between 10 days. The veto and veto override period is, one's 10 days, one's 7 days, so combined it's a 17-day period after October 30th, in which we'll then see the final result. Then NIFA would make a decision, consider that final version for approval.
And just to ask, I'm not saying we would do it, but what would happen if NIFA didn't pass the budget or the financial plan?
Okay, if NIFA were to reject the financial plan, it would be sent back to the county for remediation. They would then resubmit it to NIFA for reconsideration. If NIFA determines that revised financial plan is satisfactory, the NIFA board would vote to approve it. If NIFA is still dissatisfied, then the NIFA can impose a budget on the county.
It's happened a couple of times, or at least we've done line item changes on the third. It's two strikes, then the third one we make our own changes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Evan. Are there any questions on the part of the other board members?
No, thank you, Evan.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, very interesting. Yep, very good. That finishes the business portion of the meeting. Any board members want to bring up any other business before we go into executive session? So I will now entertain a motion for the directors to conduct an executive session pursuant to Public Offices Law 105 to consider the financial history of a particular corporation and certain matters related to proposed, pending, or current litigation. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, second? Second. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, just to indicate publicly that it's not intended that there will be any other public actions on the board or any votes on the part of the board. You're certainly welcome to stay. We will come back to, at the very least, adjourn. But I don't expect, in terms of future meetings, I mentioned to the board that we're planning to have, obviously, 3 more meetings this year, October, November, December, and we will poll the board, and we will try to set them in the next week or so, so we know the 3 dates that we're meeting, and then we'll have a calendar for next year, and we'll work with you on that afterwards. Thank you. We're now going to executive session. Want to reconvene? Do I hear a motion to reconvene the meeting of the board? For a second, okay. We are taking no votes, conducted no votes in executive session. I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
John, seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
Good.
We will get back to you on the dates for the rest of the year.